All right, good afternoon. I am Saad Al-Aziz, the owner and head instructor of Semper Fortis Jiu Jitsu here in San Antonio, Texas, and here to answer this week's question of the week. There was some questions that came up about some training that we're doing here in December at our school, as well as at the Lone Star gun range. And it's Tim Kennedy and his company, Sheepdog Response, is coming down to do the training. So they will do the hand-to-hand martial arts part here at Semper Fortis Jiu Jitsu. I think the course runs from the 2nd to the 4th of December. And then they will do the firearms part at Lone Star gun range. So I highly recommend this course. And somebody asked, well, why do you recommend these firearm courses, when you teach martial arts? And my answer is, one martial artist beating multiple opponents only happens in movies. I know there's martial artists out there, with their little studios talking about, I could teach you how one guy can beat 10 guys. Only in the movies. In reality, that ain't gonna happen. One guy beating 2 guys, you better be really good and they better be really bad, because it's just a bad situation, especially if your opponents are armed too. So one-on-one, Brazilian Jiu Jitsu is phenomenal. If I'm confronted with multiple opponents, then I'm going to go to my friend Glock or Benelli shotgun or a rifle. I'm not going hand to hand. If somebody breaks into my home in the middle of the night, I'm not going hand to hand with them, unless for some reason I can't reach my weapon. So that's why a training like this Sheepdog Response training that we're going to have here at Semper Fortis is so valuable. And the reason I'm really excited about having Tim and his company Sheepdog Response come in is because Tim Kennedy is as legit as you get. U.S. Army Ranger, Special Forces, elite UFC MMA fighter. He's a Brazilian Jiu Jitsu black belt, one of the toughest humans on the planet. And when you are learning total self-defense, not just unarmed self-defense, but introducing, whether it's pistols, rifles, shotguns, knives, when you're introducing these weapons, you have to look at the total fight, And I can't think of many people in the world that I would rather train with, for that total picture than Tim Kennedy. So I'm really excited about him coming. You will not pay through the course through us. You will go to the Sheepdog Response website and sign up with Tim. Tim's company is running all that, the fees, the sign up. It's just for 2 days, it'll be here, 2 or 3 days, and then I think it's a 3-day course. And they'll do the hand-to-hand martial arts part here, and then the gun range stuff will be at the Lone Star gun range, which in my opinion is the best gun range in the state of Texas, or anywhere that I've ever been, actually. And it's also run by veterans. The owner Josh, Airborne Ranger, the range master Larry, he's retired U.S. Marine Corps E8. He was a sniper. Just top-notch dudes. These aren't guys that read about fighting in books. These are guys that served our country, whether you're talking about Tim Kennedy, whether you're talking about Josh and Larry, in combat zones, as well as I did. As many of you know, I did 33 years in the U.S. Navy. So if you want to learn combat fighting, you should go with guys that have combat experience. If you want to learn theoretical sport fighting, go with guys that have theoretical, sport competition. If you're point fighting, there's great people out there that can do that. And then one of the things that I've noticed a trend on these self-defense, whether it's martial arts or whether it's firearms training, you want to make sure that your instructor is legitimate. And I don't want to say there's a lot of frauds out there, But there's some questionable people out there providing training. And, if you come into a martial arts school like mine, it should be crystal clear, like, oh, you are a legitimate Brazilian Jiu Jitsu black belt. Who says? Well, my instructor, Luis Pajares. He says, he's an 8th degree coral belt. Oh, and also I'm certified by Carlos Gracie Jr. in the International Brazilian Jiu Jitsu Federation. And I'm also certified as a black belt by Hobson Gracie, who is the president of the FJJ Rio. So that's my credentials. And any instructor should be open when you come in and you say, well, who'd you get your black belt from? If they're offended or they're vague and they can't name it, then it's like, you shouldn't train there. Like, that person should be proudly telling you, hey, these are my qualifications. This is who awarded me my black belt. This is who's certifying that I am legitimate, And the same thing with these firearms training classes. Like, I was looking to do a shotgun training, and somebody had sent me some instructor group here in Texas that they do training. And I went on their website because I was like, I wonder who these guys are, And they was incredibly vague. They was like, they listed the instructors, but they didn't list their full names. It would be like John B. and then some vague description of his military or law enforcement experience. And then Kevin P. and then some vague description. And then, Philip D. Like you wouldn't get their last names, like, so you couldn't verify, like, was this person really, a U.S. Marine? Was this person really a Green Beret? Was this person really on the SWAT team? It was just, they can't put their name. Like, they're so covert, so secret movie stuff that they can't even put their full names. And I'm like, dude, that's great for the movies. In real life, I want to know that you are legitimate before I go in and do some training with you. Like I said, whether it's martial arts, whether it's firearms training, like, and if anybody's vague about who they are and what their qualifications are, especially if they can't even give you their real name, I'm like, don't train with them. Like, I would absolutely recommend you do not train with any group that can't be upfront with exactly who they are. So that's what I love about Tim Kennedy, Sheepdog Response. It's, who Tim Kennedy is. He's verifiable. You can be like, yes, he's an Army Ranger. Yes, he fought in the UFC. Yes, he's a Brazilian Jiu Jitsu black belt. Like, these credentials are legit. I've also done firearms training with Fieldcraft Survival. Amazing group. I've done a couple of their courses, run by a lot of Special Forces guys. And, once again, Mike Glover, who runs it, he was Green Beret. And then he did CIA work after he got out of the Green Beret. Up front with it, no secrets. His partner, Kevin Owens, another Green Beret, who also did CIA work. And also, he was like in the Irish Army before he immigrated to the U.S. Very interesting guy. Totally legit people. So I've done a couple courses with them. Highly recommend Fieldcraft Survival. I've also gone out to Arizona with Haley Strategic, owned and run by Travis Haley, retired U.S. Marine, Recon Marine. So, he Special Forces Recon. He did a lot of contractor work, extensive combat experience, and he's an open book, at Haley Strategic about who he is and what he did. The guys at Fieldcraft Survival, Mike Glover, open book, who he is, what he did. Of course, Tim Kennedy and Sheepdog Response, who he is, what he did. All these guys are easily verifiable. So if you're looking for training and people are vague about their qualifications or who they are, I would highly recommend you don't train with them. It's like, ain't nobody that secret squirrel stuff like that in movies to be like, hey, that's a great movie plot. Like, like this active, British intel guy, I forgot what the James Bond thing was, but like, he ain't offering you no training here in the U.S. Like, or ain't no active CIA agent or Secret Service agent offering you some training. Like, there's no reason to be secretive about who you are if you are offering training anywhere in the U.S. Like it's just nonsense. So I say that to say you can sign up for Sheepdog Response in the training that will be here, or he does also training out of Austin, and travels around to other places, and you can do it and know that, hey, you're going to get great training, and you're going to get it from a legitimate source, from people that are combat proven. Not, I read a book about combat. Not, I watched A Few Good Men, and now I think I know something about combat. It's like, no, guys that actually went to combat and fought. Like, that's who, if you want to learn combat, that's who you want to learn it from. And so Kennedy, Sheepdog Response, we're honored to have him here in December, that he's using our facility. And if you're interested in signing up, just go to the Sheepdog Response website, and you can find the course, whether it's his course that he's going to do here in San Antonio or any of the other courses he does, throughout Texas or throughout the country. If you want to sign up and get that training, I would highly recommend it. Just like I highly recommend Haley Strategic with Travis Haley out in Arizona, and also Fieldcraft Survival. I think they're headquartered in Utah, and then they opened up a second headquarters in North Carolina. Highly recommend those guys. Totally legit. And you're going to get great training from people that have actually fought in wars. Not theoretical, not watching on TV, actually fought, And you can't get any better than that, So I highly recommend that. So if you're interested in the Sheepdog Response course here in December, go to the Sheepdog Response website. It's probably www.sheepdogresponse.com, but I'm not positive. If you just type in Sheepdog Response in Google, it'll take you there. You'll see Tim Kennedy's face and his training, and then you go to schedule classes and run it. But back to the question, why do I recommend overall training, like what Sheepdog Response offers, or Fieldcraft Survival offers, or Haley Strategic offers? It's because sometimes you could be in a position where you have to fight that you're going to need to use a weapon, or your opponent is going to have a weapon, and you should be prepared to win that fight no matter where it goes and no matter what's involved. You want to be as prepared as you can, So Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, if we can reach each other and it's one-on-one, amazing defense, as well as judo. If there's distance between you and that person and they're armed, you need to learn how to operate a pistol. You need to learn how to operate a rifle. You need to learn how to operate a shotgun. And not just going to the range and like pulling the trigger, but, like actually learn some tactics, like what's involved in defending your home, getting some ideas, or, defending yourself in a public situation. If you get caught up, whether it's home invaders or you get caught up in a riot, like you should, have some basic idea, like, hey, this is what I'm going to do. And you're not going to be out there like freaking Bruce Lee or Chuck Norris just beating, 10, 15 armed fighters on the side of the road. It's like, it makes a great movie. But the reality is that's not the way life works. That's not the way combat works. And if you want to learn about combat, you should train with people that have actually been to combat and can tell you exactly what's up in it, and are trained and proficient at it. So December, Tim Kennedy will be here, as well as, he's running the course from Semper Fortis Jiu Jitsu, as well as Lone Star Gun Range. Highly recommend it. As well as my friends at Haley Strategic. Anytime they run a course, they usually just run it out of Arizona, but I think they're coming to Pleasanton in November or December to run a pistol course. And Fieldcraft Survival is running courses in Texas, man, every couple months. I think Mike Glover was just here this weekend running a course out of a range up in Austin. Highly recommend those guys. Amazing. And I try to do a course, one of those courses with either Fieldcraft Survival or Haley Strategic or Sheepdog Response, once a year, just to keep my skills sharp, because I've been retired from the U.S. military for almost 3 years now, 2.5 years, so and in the U.S. military, we constantly train, once, twice, 3 times a year. We're requalling on things, we're constantly training latest cutting edge tactics, so even now I'm retired, I don't foresee myself ever picking up a weapon in defense again, but if I have to, I want to be as good as I can possibly be, because what could possibly be at stake? Oh, everything that's important to me in life. My wife, my kids, there's a lot could be at stake. And so this kind of training is great, as well as, hand-to-hand learning jiu-jitsu. I train jiu-jitsu every day, not because I'm worried about somebody jumping me on the street. I'm going to be all right if somebody jumps me on the street, but I love it. I enjoy the training. And if I ever have to use it, I'm well prepared. And so I say, man, always be prepared for the fight, just in case. The fight comes to you, and it's usually coming to you in unexpected ways. At least when we go to war, you sort of know. It's like, oh, I'm going to fight. Where here on the streets, you never know when it's going to happen. When something bad could happen. And so the better prepared you are, the better, chance you have for a good outcome. All right. I ran the video longer than I wanted, but that's this week's question, and look forward to training with you guys. And like I said, if you're interested in the course, go to the Sheepdog Response website and sign up. All right. Any questions for next week? Just fire along on the bottom, or like what you guys always do. You just see me in class and be like, what about this? What do you think about that? And I'll give you my best answer. All right. Till next week. Ciao.